Commander Adrian Cross had always been a man of patience, but even he felt his heart quicken as the shimmering lights of the Veari capital came into view. From the observation deck of the human diplomatic cruiser, the city below spread like a constellation of glass and metal, reflecting the twin suns of SCIFI-Prime. Adrian had seen pictures and videos countless times, but nothing compared to the sight in person. The towers spiraled upward like silver fingers reaching for the sky, while floating skycraft moved like glowing fireflies. He turned away from the viewport and glanced at the crew. Each of them moved with precise coordination, but he knew their thoughts were much like his own. The Veari Empire was a world apart, and the Queen herself, a legend among humans, was about to be in their presence again. Adrian's admiration for Queen Saralith was not a passing fancy. It had begun years ago, during his first mission to the Veari archives. He had been young, eager, and slightly intimidated, tasked with translating ancient texts from the Veari language. Then he had seen her for the first time. She was not like humans. Her eyes were luminous, reflecting a depth that seemed impossible, her movements fluid and confident, each step carrying the weight of centuries of leadership. At the time, he had thought it was impossible for anyone to approach someone so powerful, but over the years he had watched her decisions, her diplomacy, her courage in the face of threats, and his admiration had grown into something deeper. Respect, wonder, a desire to understand her world, her mind, even her heart. And yet, he had never spoken of it. The gap between a human diplomat and a Veari queen seemed unbridgeable. Now, aboard the Elysium, the diplomatic cruiser, that gap felt a little smaller. This summit was unprecedented, humans and Veari coming together after decades of distance, each seeking cooperation in trade, exploration, and defense. The political implications were immense, but Adrian's mind kept drifting to one thought: Saralith. The announcement came over the ship's intercom. Commander Cross, the royal delegation, will arrive shortly. Please prepare for reception. Adrian straightened his uniform, feeling the familiar tension in his chest. The Veari delegation had always been graceful, precise, almost otherworldly. And their queen, well, she did not merely enter a room, she illuminated it. When the doors to the reception hall slid open, a hush fell over the room. Adrian's eyes followed her as she stepped forward. Saralith was taller than most humans expected, her posture perfect, her robes of deep silver flowing like liquid metal. The crown of delicate, glowing crystals rested lightly on her head, accentuating her elegant form. Even from across the room, Adrian felt drawn to her presence. Commander Cross, a soft voice called, smooth and melodic but carrying authority. He turned, and there she was, her eyes meeting his. For a moment, the rest of the room disappeared. It was just the two of them, and he felt something stir inside him that he could not name. "Your Majesty," he said, bowing respectfully. He had practiced formal greetings countless times, but the words felt inadequate, almost meaningless. Saralith inclined her head slightly, a gesture that conveyed both acknowledgement and curiosity. "It is good to see you again, Commander." Her tone was warm but not too warm, distant yet inviting. Adrian sensed layers of meaning behind every word. The summit began formally, with speeches about trade agreements, planetary defense protocols, and shared scientific research. Adrian listened carefully, but his eyes kept drifting toward Saralith. She spoke with clarity and precision, her words carrying weight that humans could only aspire to. Yet there was a subtle kindness in her demeanor, a recognition of effort and integrity. During a break, Adrian found himself in the quiet garden that stretched across the upper levels of the palace. Bioluminescent plants glowed softly, and water flowed gently over silver stones. He was not alone for long. "You enjoy the gardens, Commander?" The voice was serene, almost musical. Adrian looked up and found Saralith standing a few feet away. She did not appear to notice anyone else around them. "They are magnificent, Your Majesty," Adrian replied. He searched for words, realizing that no human language could capture the beauty before him. Sarilith smiled faintly, tilting her head. I have spent many cycles tending to them. Each plant is chosen for its resilience and harmony. Humans value efficiency. Veyari value balance. Adrian nodded, admiring her wisdom as much as her beauty. It is inspiring. Perhaps humans could learn from your methods. She regarded him silently for a moment, her expression unreadable. Then, unexpectedly, she asked, "And what of you, Commander? What have you learned in these cycles among the stars?" Adrian hesitated. What could he say that would not sound foolish? That he had spent years admiring her from afar? That he had dreamed of walking alongside her in her world? He kept his tone careful, diplomatic. I have learned that humans are capable of more than we often believe. That courage and thought can matter as much as strength. Sarilith's gaze lingered on him, studying his every expression. Interesting, she said finally. Few humans speak with such clarity. You surprise me, Commander Cross. Adrian felt a warmth he could not place, a sense of validation he had never received from anyone outside his own species. And yet, he knew better than to assume that admiration alone would bridge the worlds between them. The garden's serenity was interrupted by a distant alarm. Adrian's communicator buzzed urgently. Commander, return to the council chamber immediately. The summit requires your presence. He bowed quickly and departed, casting one last glance at Sarilith. She was watching him leave, her expression calm yet unreadable. Adrian wondered what thoughts passed through her mind. Did she see him as a mere human diplomat? Or did she recognize the hope and determination that humans carried within them? Back, in the chamber, tensions were rising. Representatives of both species debated fiercely over trade rights and planetary resources. Adrian spoke with precision, advocating cooperation and mutual respect. Every time he glanced at Sarilith, she nodded, slightly, a small gesture of approval that gave him confidence. After hours of negotiation, the summit recessed for the evening. Delegates retreated to their quarters, and Adrian was left reflecting on the day. He realized that for all the political maneuvering, there was a personal mission forming within him, a desire not just to represent humanity, but to connect on a level deeper than diplomacy. Later, in the quiet of his cabin, Adrian stared at the view of the alien city below. Lights twinkled like stars, but his thoughts were fixed on Sarilith. He remembered the first time he had encountered her in the archives, her elegance and wisdom, and how he had vowed silently to serve humanity in a way worthy of her attention. He could not deny the truth. He admired her more than he had ever admitted to himself. And now, after years of observing, learning, and serving, he felt a stirring of boldness. One day, perhaps, he would find the courage to speak not just as a diplomat, but as a human with hope and intent. For now, he prepared for the coming days, knowing that the summit would bring new challenges, both political and personal. The Veyari Empire was vast and complex, but humans had something the aliens often underestimated: resilience, creativity, and the capacity for heart. Adrian felt that these qualities might one day allow him to reach not just agreements between worlds, but understanding, and maybe, just maybe, the respect of the Queen herself. As the twin suns set behind the crystalline towers, Adrian whispered, quietly to himself, "One day, Your Majesty. One day I hope you will understand the heart of humanity." And for the first time, he felt that this hope was not entirely impossible. The stars above seemed to shimmer in response, and somewhere, deep within him, a sense of destiny stirred. The story of humans among the Veyari had only just begun. The Veyari capital glittered under the light of its twin suns, but Commander Adrian Cross felt a storm inside himself. The summit continued, yet his mind wandered. Every time Queen Sarilith's gaze met his, Adrian felt a mixture of awe and urgency. Years of admiration had grown into something stronger, something he could no longer contain. The political talks were tense. Delegates from multiple planets argued over trade routes, resource rights, and defense pacts. The human representatives, guided by Adrian's careful diplomacy, advocated for collaboration rather than competition. His speeches were precise yet filled with quiet confidence, earning him nods even from skeptical Vayari officials. Adrian's attention, however, remained divided. He could not stop thinking about Saralith. She moved through the hall with a grace that seemed effortless. Her words commanded attention. Her gestures conveyed both authority and warmth. Humans had long admired her from a distance, but Adrian wanted more than admiration. He wanted connection, partnership, and daringly something personal. Later that evening, after another long session, Adrian requested a private audience with Saralith. He felt the weight of protocol pressing on him. No human had ever sought a personal meeting with the Queen without cause. Yet he believed this moment demanded courage. The Queen's private chamber was breathtaking. Crystal chandeliers cast soft reflections across the walls, and soft hums of energy seemed to resonate in the air itself. Adrian bowed, trying to steady his racing heart. "Commander Cross," Saralith said, her voice calm yet carrying the authority of a ruler who had faced countless challenges. "You requested this meeting, speak." Adrian straightened, drawing in a deep breath. "Your Majesty," he began carefully, "I have admired you for many cycles. I have studied your leadership, your wisdom, and your courage. Humanity is young, compared to the Vayari Empire, but we possess determination, creativity, and a desire to learn. I wish to propose more than an alliance of planets. I propose a partnership sealed not only by treaties but by mutual understanding between us." For a moment, Saralith said nothing. The room felt impossibly still. Adrian's pulse quickened. He had risked everything, his reputation, his safety, even the trust of his own people. But he could not retreat. The Queen finally spoke, her tone measured. "You speak boldly, Commander Cross. Few humans have dared to approach me with such words." Adrian bowed his head slightly, feeling a mix of relief and apprehension. "I speak honestly, Your Majesty. I hope that you might see the potential in humanity, and in me." Saralith's eyes glimmered as she studied him. "Your courage is noted," she said finally. "But words alone are not enough. Humans are often impulsive, driven by emotion rather than calculation. Tell me, Commander, why should I believe that your proposal carries more than hope?" Adrian's heart pounded. He had expected doubt, but he had not expected such a challenge. "Because, Your Majesty," he said, his voice steady, "we are capable of rising above our limitations. We are capable of learning, adapting, and standing firm even in the face of overwhelming odds. I believe humans can be partners in the galaxy, not just observers. And I wish to prove that to you." Saralith considered him silently, the faint glow of her crown reflecting in her eyes. "Very well," she said at last. "If you wish to prove the strength of humanity and your own resolve, you shall face a test. One of courage, strategy, and endurance. Should you succeed, then perhaps your words will carry weight beyond mere diplomacy." Adrian swallowed hard. "Your Majesty, I accept." She inclined her head slightly. "Prepare yourself. The trial will begin within the next cycle. You will not face it alone, and failure is not an option. The Vayari Empire does not grant second chances lightly." As Adrian left the chamber, a mixture of excitement and fear surged through him. This was more than a mission. This was an opportunity to show that humans could stand beside the galaxy's greatest civilizations. And perhaps if he succeeded, it could be the first step toward something far more personal, a bridge to the Queen herself. The following days were a whirlwind of preparation. Adrian was assigned a team of Vayari knights, elite warriors trained in both combat and strategy. They were tall, lithe, and armed with weapons far beyond human technology. Initially, they regarded him with skepticism. "You are human," one of the knights said, voice sharp. "Do you truly believe you can succeed where many Vayari would fail?" Adrian met the knight's gaze steadily. I may be human, but I'm not weak. I learn quickly, I adapt, and I do not retreat from challenges. The knight studied him, then gave a faint nod. Others remained wary, whispering among themselves. Adrian felt the weight of their doubt, but he refused to let it shake his determination. The mission itself was revealed. A fleet of research vessels had become stranded in the Heart Nebula, a region notorious for its violent storms and gravitational anomalies. Previous attempts to rescue them had failed, leaving the human and Veari crews in danger. Adrian's team was tasked with navigating the nebula, rescuing the stranded ships, and ensuring the safety of their crews. The journey to the nebula was tense. Human technology was reliable, but the Veari ships operated on principles humans could barely comprehend. Yet, Adrian found ways to combine human ingenuity with alien precision. When navigation systems faltered, he improvised solutions, earning wary respect from the knights. Your methods are unconventional, one of them said, as they approached a particularly dangerous region of the nebula. Unconventional, Adrian replied with a small smile, but effective. The first challenge came sooner than expected. A sudden gravitational surge threw their formation into chaos. Ships collided, alarms blared, and the nebula's energy storm raged around them. Adrian's heart raced, but he focused. He coordinated the rescue, directing both humans and Veari with precision, finding pathways through the turbulent space where others saw only danger. The knights began to see a different side of him, not a fragile human diplomat, but a strategist and leader capable of standing shoulder to shoulder with the galaxy's finest. After hours of intense maneuvering, they reached the first stranded ship. The crew was shaken but unharmed, thanks to Adrian's careful coordination. One by one, they rescued the remaining vessels, navigating through the storm with skill and courage. Finally, as they emerged from the nebula, the team gathered. The knights looked at Adrian with new respect, some even bowing slightly, a gesture rare among their kind. Adrian felt a surge of pride, tempered by exhaustion. He had not only succeeded in the mission, but had begun to prove humanity's value in ways that words alone never could. Back in the Veari capital, the Queen awaited. Saralith's eyes met his as he reported the mission's success. There was no immediate praise, only a measured gaze that seemed to look right through him. You have done well, Commander Cross, she said finally. You have shown courage and ingenuity, yet this is only the beginning. The galaxy is full of challenges, and humans have only begun to prove themselves. Adrian bowed deeply. I understand, Your Majesty, and I am ready for whatever comes next. Saralith inclined, her head slightly, a subtle gesture that conveyed approval. Your actions have caught my attention, Commander. Continue to demonstrate the strength of your people, and perhaps one day you may demonstrate your own strength in other ways. Adrian's heart raced at the unspoken words. He had taken a bold step, and for the first time, he sensed that the Queen might see him not merely as a human diplomat, but as someone worthy of her notice. That night, as he reflected on the day's events, Adrian realized that admiration alone was no longer enough. He needed to act, to continue proving the worth of humanity, and to show that courage, creativity, and heart could bridge the vast divide between their species. The stars outside his cabin window seemed to shine brighter than ever, as if acknowledging the first small step of a human daring to reach toward the stars, and toward the alien queen he had admired for so long. For Adrian, the summit was no longer just a political mission. It had become a personal journey, one that would test not only his skills and courage, but the very essence of what it meant to be human in a galaxy full of wonders and challenges. And somewhere in the halls of the Veari Palace, Queen Saralith watched and considered, her expression unreadable but her thoughts far from indifferent. Adrian had taken a dangerous step, but the question remained. Would his boldness lead to true connection, or merely a fleeting impression? The answer, Adrian knew, would unfold in the days to come. Commander Adrian Cross stood at the edge of the observation platform, gazing at the swirling colors of the Heart Nebula below. The rescue mission had been a success, but the true trial was only beginning. Queen Saralith's challenge was not just about physical courage or strategic skill. It was a test of character, of heart, and of humanity's ability to stand tall among the stars. The Queen had summoned him to a private audience once again. Her chamber, bathed in the soft glow of crystalline lights, felt both grand and intimate. Adrian bowed as she entered, her eyes locking onto his with that same penetrating gaze that had fascinated him for years. "You have done well in the nebula," she said. "But courage alone is not enough. You must demonstrate wisdom, empathy, and the ability to inspire those around you. Your next task will test these qualities." Adrian nodded, determined to prove himself. "I understand, Your Majesty. I am ready for whatever comes next." Saralith's lips curved in the faintest of smiles. "Very well. You will lead a mixed team of humans and Veari on a mission to the frontier world of Lyria 7. A rebel faction threatens the settlement there. Your task is to protect the inhabitants and secure peace. The challenge lies not only in confronting the rebels, but in uniting your team, which will doubt you at every turn." Adrian's heart pounded. The stakes were higher than ever. Failure could not only endanger the lives of innocents, but also undermine humanity's reputation before the Veari Empire. Yet he felt a surge of determination. Humans had survived far more against far greater odds. They were resilient, adaptable, and courageous. He would prove it, one way or another. The team assembled quickly. 6 Veari knights, each skilled in combat and tactics, and 3 human specialists, engineers, and medics. The knights were skeptical of Adrian's leadership, whispering doubts among themselves. "You are human," one knight said bluntly as they prepared the dropship. "Do you truly believe you can command us?" Adrian met the knight's eyes. "I do not claim to be your equal in training or strength," he said calmly. "But I am your leader for this mission. If we work together, combine our skills, and trust one another, we can succeed. Doubt will only divide us." The knight's expression softened slightly, though his gaze remained wary. The others remained silent, studying Adrian with a mixture of curiosity and suspicion. Adrian knew that trust would have to be earned through action, not words. As their ship descended toward Lyria 7, the landscape revealed itself. Jagged mountains, deep canyons, and forests of strange bioluminescent plants. The settlement lay in a valley, small and vulnerable, but alive with human ingenuity and perseverance. Upon arrival, the team quickly assessed the situation. Rebels had fortified positions along the canyon's ridges, threatening the colony's safety. Adrian could feel the tension among the Veari knights. They expected humans to panic or falter under pressure. He intended to prove them wrong. "Listen," Adrian said, addressing both humans and Veari. "This mission is about more than defeating the rebels. We must protect the people and inspire cooperation. If we divide ourselves, we will fail. Trust each other. Use your strengths. Together, we can succeed." The knights exchanged glances. One, a tall Veari named Kale, finally nodded. "We shall follow your lead, human, but you must prove your words with action." Adrian smiled faintly. "Then let's get to work." The battle began at dawn. The rebels were armed with energy weapons and had the advantage of terrain, but Adrian quickly assessed the situation. Using a combination of human ingenuity and Veari tactics, he coordinated the team. Engineers created temporary barriers and diversionary signals, while the knights advanced strategically, covering vulnerable points. Despite initial setbacks, Adrian's leadership began to unite the team. Humans and Veari moved as one, responding to his commands and improvising when plans changed. His courage inspired confidence. His calm under fire reassured those who doubted him. During a critical moment, a bridge collapsed under heavy fire, cutting off part of the team. Adrian did not hesitate. He risked his own life to secure the stranded members, directing the humans and Veari to safety. Kale watched in silent awe, realizing that the human leader possessed not only courage but compassion, a quality often underestimated by his own people. By evening, the rebels were contained and the settlement secured. The colonists, a mix of human and alien inhabitants, gathered to thank the team. Children smiled freely, and elders nodded in gratitude. Adrian felt a deep sense of fulfillment. This was what humanity could bring to the galaxy: courage, cleverness, and a willingness to risk everything for others. Yet the challenges were not over. That night, Adrian convened with his team to discuss strategy for any remaining threats. Some knights remained skeptical, questioning his methods and decisions. Adrian listened patiently, addressing concerns and incorporating their suggestions. He encouraged dialogue, showing that leadership was not about command alone, but about earning trust and respect. Kale approached him later. "You have done well, Commander," he said quietly. "Humans are different than we expected. You have heart, and that is rare." Adrian nodded. "Thank you, Kyle. I have learned much from you and the others as well. We succeed only because we work together." The following days were spent rebuilding and reinforcing the settlement. Adrian continued to demonstrate leadership, often leading by example rather than command. He repaired damaged systems, coordinated patrols, and even helped transport supplies. The Veyari Knights, initially skeptical, began to admire his determination and ingenuity. Word of his actions reached Queen Saralith. She observed from afar, intrigued by the humans' ability to unite disparate groups and face danger with both courage and wisdom. Adrian's success in Lyria 7 was not merely tactical. It was a demonstration of humanity's potential to stand beside the galaxy's oldest and most powerful civilizations. One evening, as the twin moons of Lyria 7 rose, Adrian stood alone on a ridge overlooking the valley. The wind carried the scent of strange flora, and the glow of the settlement below reflected in his eyes. He allowed himself a moment to reflect. This mission had tested him in ways he had never imagined, not just in strategy or combat, but in patience, empathy, and leadership. He had faced doubt, danger, and uncertainty, and had emerged stronger. A soft voice behind him startled him. "You have done well, Commander Cross." He turned to see Queen Saralith herself, stepping silently from the shadows. Her presence was as commanding as ever, yet there was a hint of warmth in her eyes. "Your Majesty," Adrian said, bowing deeply. "Rise," she commanded softly. "I have been observing your actions. You have faced challenges that would have broken many Veyari, and yet you have inspired unity among those who doubted you. That is a quality worth more than skill with weapons or mastery of strategy." Adrian felt a surge of pride, tempered by humility. "I only did what I believed was right, Your Majesty. I wanted to protect the people and prove the value of humanity." Saralith studied him for a long moment. "And you have succeeded. Your courage is clear, your mind is sharp, and your heart is remarkable. You may have underestimated how deeply a human can rise to meet a challenge." Adrian felt his chest tighten. For years he had admired her from afar, unsure if such recognition was even possible. Yet here she was, acknowledging not just his actions, but the essence of what humans could bring to the galaxy: courage, creativity, and heart. "Your words honor me, Your Majesty," he said softly. "I only hope to continue proving humanity's worth to you and to the galaxy." Saralith inclined her head. "You shall have the opportunity, Commander. Many trials lie ahead, both for you and your people. But tonight you may rest, knowing that you have begun to bridge the divide between our worlds. Your actions have spoken where words might have failed." As she left, Adrian remained on the ridge, gazing at the settlement below. He realized that the Queen's challenge had been far more than a test of skill. It had been a test of character, of resilience, and of humanity's ability to rise above fear and doubt. He had learned that courage alone was not enough. One needed empathy, wisdom, and the ability to inspire others. And he had learned that humans, though young among the stars, could shine in ways the galaxy had not yet expected. For the first time in years, Adrian felt a sense of clarity. His admiration for Queen Saralith had grown into a quiet determination. He would continue to prove humanity's strength, not through words alone, but through deeds, courage, and the steadfast heart that had carried his people through countless trials. The twin moons cast long shadows over the valley, and Adrian knew that the trials ahead would be even greater. But he was ready. Humans were not easily defeated, and he would not falter. Somewhere, he felt, the Queen was watching, contemplating, the human who dared to rise not just in skill but in spirit. And Adrian knew that whatever her final judgment might be, he had taken a step closer, not only to proving humanity's worth, but to bridging the impossible gap between himself and the Queen he had admired for so long. The stars above seemed to shine brighter that night, as if acknowledging the first true demonstration of humanity's courage, ingenuity, and heart in the galaxy's vast theater of challenges. Adrian knew this was only the beginning. The days following the mission on Lyria 7 had been filled with cautious optimism. Commander Adrian Cross and his team were hailed as heroes, their success celebrated in both human and Veyari circles. Yet Adrian knew better than to let pride cloud his judgment. In the galaxy, victories often invited hidden dangers. It began subtly. Reports of suspicious movements reached Adrian through the settlement's communications. Certain supply routes had been tampered with, and a few patrols reported unexplainable disturbances in nearby canyons. At first, Adrian suspected rebel remnants, but the patterns did not match what he had seen before. There was something more sinister at play. One evening, as the twin moons of Lyria 7 cast silver light across the valley, Kyle, the tall Veyari knight who had begun to trust Adrian, approached him. His expression was grim. "Commander," Kyle said quietly, "I fear there is betrayal within our own ranks. Some among the knights may be secretly working against us." Adrian's heart tightened. Betrayal was dangerous, but predictable in human terms. However, among the Veyari, disciplined, proud, and secretive, it was rare and deadly. "Do you have evidence?" he asked calmly. Kyle shook his head. "Not yet. But I have observed unusual behavior, secretive meetings, intercepted messages, and coded signals. We must act carefully." Adrian nodded. "Then we prepare for all possibilities. We cannot risk alerting the traitor, or they may escalate their plans. We must protect the settlers, our team, and the mission." The following morning, Adrian gathered the team in the council hall of the settlement. He chose his words carefully. "There are threats we cannot see yet," he said, "and some may come from within. Trust is earned, but vigilance is necessary. I will rely on all of you to report anything unusual, without fear or delay. Our priority is the safety of the settlers and the success of our mission." The Veyari knights exchanged glances. Some were skeptical, others hesitant, but all recognized the gravity of Adrian's words. The human specialists nodded in understanding, and a quiet determination settled over the group. Days passed with no overt signs of betrayal, but tension simmered beneath the surface. Then, during a routine patrol, Adrian's instincts proved correct. A hidden signal transmitter was discovered embedded in the control system of a supply ship. It was broadcasting strategic information to an unknown recipient. Kale examined the device and growled in frustration. This could have led the rebels to every vulnerable position in the settlement. Someone among us planted it. Adrian studied the team carefully. He did not accuse lightly, knowing that the wrong move could destroy the fragile trust he had built. "We will find the source, quietly, and we will ensure that no harm comes to the innocent while we do." The investigation revealed disturbing evidence. One of the knights, a veteran named Rylan, had been covertly communicating with rebel sympathizers. Rylan's motives were unclear: greed, ambition, or perhaps fear. But his actions placed the settlement and its people in mortal danger. Adrian confronted Rylan privately. "Why betray us?" he asked, his voice firm but calm. Rylan sneered. "You humans think you can lead Veyari? You're naive. The Queen's interest in you is fleeting. You will fail, and I will be ready." Adrian's expression hardened. "You underestimate what humans can achieve. I will protect these people, and your actions will not succeed. Rylan attempted to flee, but Adrian anticipated the move. Using a combination of human ingenuity and quick thinking, he trapped the knight without harm. Kale and the other knights arrived to secure him, their expressions reflecting a mix of shock and respect for Adrian's composure. You acted with precision and care, Kale said quietly. Even in the face of betrayal, you maintained your principles. Few Veyari could have done the same. Adrian nodded, aware that the trust he had earned was delicate. Our strength lies not in punishment but in unity. We must remain vigilant, but we cannot let fear divide us. The traitor neutralized, Adrian turned his attention to rebuilding morale among the team. He organized joint exercises combining human and Veyari strategies, emphasizing teamwork, communication, and trust. Slowly, the knights began to see the value in his methods, recognizing that humanity's adaptability and courage complemented their own precision and discipline. But the real test was yet to come. Reports indicated that the rebels were regrouping, preparing for a coordinated assault on the settlement. Adrian understood that the coming battle would challenge everything he had taught his team: courage, strategy, and unity under pressure. As the rebels approached, Adrian took stock of their resources. Human ingenuity had strengthened defenses in unexpected ways: makeshift barricades that could absorb energy blasts, traps that exploited the terrain, and coordinated patrols that maximized their limited numbers. The Veyari knights, initially skeptical, now moved with confidence, executing maneuvers Adrian had devised with precision. The battle began at dawn, the first light casting long shadows across the valley. Rebels struck from multiple directions, hoping to exploit any weakness. But Adrian had anticipated their tactics. With calm authority, he directed humans and Veyari alike, adjusting plans in real time as the conflict unfolded. One critical moment tested his leadership further. A group of rebels attempted to flank the settlement through a hidden canyon. Adrian recognized the danger immediately. Without hesitation, he led a small contingent, using the terrain and clever diversions to intercept the attackers. His actions were daring, placing himself at risk to protect both Veyari and human soldiers. The Veyari knights watched, astonished. Adrian's bravery inspired them. They followed his lead without hesitation, executing complex maneuvers that would have seemed impossible days earlier. Together, humans and Veyari held the line, turning the tide of the battle. As the sun rose higher, the remaining rebels were forced to retreat. The settlement was secure, and the team had proven its strength through courage, strategy, and cooperation. Adrian's heart swelled, not with pride alone, but with the knowledge that humanity had earned its place among the stars, even in the eyes of the Veyari. Later, in the quiet of the evening, Adrian met Queen Saralith in her observation chamber. She regarded him with a mixture of curiosity and approval. "You have faced betrayal, danger, and the chaos of battle," she said. "And yet, you maintained your principles and protected those under your care. That is rare, even among the Veyari." Adrian bowed respectfully. "Thank you, Your Majesty. I have only done what any human would do for their people, and for those who trust us." Saralith's eyes softened, and for a brief moment, Adrian glimpsed something beyond authority. Something almost personal. "You have demonstrated qualities that go beyond words and diplomacy: courage, wisdom, and heart. These are the qualities that define a true partner in the galaxy." Adrian felt a surge of hope. His admiration for her had been a private flame for years, but now, through action and perseverance, he sensed that she might recognize it, not as naive admiration, but as a shared respect between equals. The Queen's parting words echoed in his mind as he returned to the settlement. "The galaxy is vast, Commander Cross. There will be more trials, more challenges. But you have shown that humanity can rise to meet them. Remember this, and continue to act with courage and honor." Adrian stood once more on the ridge overlooking the valley. The twin moons cast silver light over the settlement, and the stars above twinkled like distant promises. He thought of the journey ahead, the missions yet to come, the challenges that would test humanity's resolve, and he felt ready. Humans were not fragile observers in the galaxy. They were resilient, clever, and capable of facing the unknown with heart and determination. Somewhere beyond the stars, Queen Saralith watched, her expression unreadable, yet her attention focused on the human who had dared to rise above expectation, to unite strength with wisdom, and to prove that courage and compassion could shine even in the darkest trials. Adrian knew that the final challenge, the one that would truly test his heart and humanity's place in the galaxy, was yet to come. But for now, he allowed himself a quiet moment of satisfaction. He had faced shadows of betrayal, outwitted the enemies, and inspired unity among the most disciplined warriors in the galaxy, and he had done it not with arrogance or brute force, but with the qualities that defined humans: courage, ingenuity, and an unyielding heart. As he looked at the stars stretching across the night sky, Adrian whispered quietly, "We are ready. Humanity is ready, and I will continue to rise no matter what challenges lie ahead." The stars above seemed to shine brighter that night, reflecting the determination of a human who had faced betrayal, led with courage, and proven that even in a galaxy of superior civilizations, the heart of humanity could shine brilliantly. The day of reckoning had arrived. Commander Adrian Cross stood on the observation platform of Lyria 7, staring at the horizon where the rebel forces had regrouped. The valley below was quiet now, but Adrian knew the peace was fragile. Every decision he had made, every act of courage and leadership, had led to this moment. Humanity's worth and his own resolve would be tested one last time. Queen Saralith had arrived to observe the mission firsthand. Her presence, commanding yet serene, reminded Adrian of the stakes. He was no longer just a diplomat or an observer. He was a symbol of what humans could achieve when their hearts, minds, and courage aligned. Adrian turned to his team, humans and Veyari knights alike. Their faces reflected determination, trust, and a shared understanding. The Veyari, who had once doubted him, now looked to him with respect. They knew that this human had led them not with arrogance but with vision and courage. "Listen carefully," Adrian said, his voice carrying across the valley. "The rebels may outnumber us, but they do not have what we have: unity, strategy, and the willingness to fight not just for ourselves, but for each other. Stay focused, trust one another, and we will succeed." Kyle, the tall Veyari knight, who had become Adrian's closest ally, stepped forward. "Commander, the team is ready. Humans and Veyari together." Adrian nodded. "Then let's show them what we are capable of." The battle began with a sudden strike from the rebel forces. Energy blasts lit up the valley as the attackers tried to overwhelm the defenders. But Adrian had anticipated their tactics. With careful planning and quick improvisation, he directed the team to hold critical points while using terrain to their advantage. The humans deployed makeshift barricades and decoy systems, surprising the rebels with ingenuity they did not expect. The Veyari knights executed precise maneuvers, combining their superior training with Adrian's strategies. Slowly, the tide began to turn in favor of the defenders. During the fight, Adrian spotted a squad of rebels attempting to flank the settlement. Through a narrow canyon, he knew if they succeeded, the entire operation could collapse. Without hesitation, he led a small strike team to intercept them. His actions were bold, placing himself directly in danger, but he inspired those around him to follow with courage and confidence. The rebels underestimated the human commander. Adrian's careful coordination and quick thinking turned their ambush into a trap. Using a combination of energy barriers, natural terrain, and timing, his team neutralized the flanking squad without unnecessary loss. Kyle and the Veyari knights watched in awe. Adrian's leadership had transformed fear into strategy, uncertainty into action. As the day wore on, the battle reached its peak. Rebel leaders attempted to regroup and strike at the settlement's command center. Adrian quickly devised a counterplan, instructing teams to split and converge at key points, cutting off rebel reinforcements while protecting civilians. The humans and Veyari worked in perfect harmony. Engineers and soldiers, once wary of each other, now trusted every command. They moved as one, combining ingenuity, skill, and courage. Adrian's plan worked flawlessly. The rebels were forced to retreat, disorganized and defeated. Finally, as the sun set behind the mountains, the valley grew quiet. The rebel threat was eliminated, and the settlement stood intact. Adrian surveyed the battlefield, noting the teamwork, the bravery, and the resilience of his people. Humanity had proven itself, not just to the Veyari but to the galaxy itself. Queen Saralith approached him, her expression composed but thoughtful. Adrian felt his heart quicken. After years of admiration, of secret hope and careful observation, he would finally hear her judgment, not as a diplomat, but as a human who had dared to rise to the challenge. "You have faced the greatest threats," she said, her voice calm, yet filled with authority. "Betrayal, overwhelming numbers and the chaos of battle, and you have done so without losing your principles. That is rare, even among the Veyari." Adrian bowed respectfully. "I only acted as any human would, Your Majesty. We fight for those who cannot defend themselves, for those who trust us, and for the future we hope to create together." Saralith's eyes softened slightly, and for the first time, Adrian saw something beyond authority, something personal. She paused, studying him closely, as if weighing not just his actions but his heart. "You have shown me something extraordinary," she said finally. "Humans are not merely young observers of the galaxy. You have proven that your courage, ingenuity, and compassion are qualities that can stand beside the greatest civilizations. You have inspired trust, united warriors of different worlds, and protected the innocent. That is what I asked to see, and you have delivered." Adrian felt a wave of relief and pride tempered by humility. "Your words honor me, Your Majesty. I only hope to continue proving the worth of humanity, to you, and to the galaxy." Saralith took a step closer, her presence commanding yet strangely approachable. "And yet," she said, her voice almost softer, "there is one final matter to consider." Adrian's heart raced. He had spent years admiring her from afar, dreaming of a connection that seemed impossible. Could she truly recognize him, not as a diplomat but as a human with courage, heart, and intent? "You dared to propose partnership," she continued, "not merely of treaties, but of mutual respect and understanding. Few humans would have the audacity, and even fewer the ability to follow through. You have succeeded where many might have failed. Now, it is not words, but your actions, that determine the answer." Adrian swallowed, uncertain if he dared hope. Your Majesty." Saralith raised a hand, silencing him. "I accept your proposal, not as a fleeting gesture, but as recognition that humans can be true partners in the galaxy. Your courage and integrity have proven it. You have earned my respect, and perhaps something more." The chamber fell silent. For a moment, Adrian felt speechless, his heart pounding. Years of admiration, quiet longing, and careful hope had culminated in this moment. The Queen, the very symbol of wisdom, power, and grace he had revered, had recognized him, not just as a human diplomat, but as an equal, a partner, and a reflection of the potential of his species. "You honor me, Your Majesty," he said finally. Bowing deeply, "I will continue to serve with courage, integrity, and heart." Saralith inclined her head. "And I shall watch, Commander. Humans are young, but I see in you the qualities that can guide your people to greatness. Together, we can face the challenges of the galaxy, united in purpose and trust." Adrian felt a warmth in his chest he could not describe. This was more than recognition. It was validation of every risk, every act of courage, and every moment he had spent striving to prove the worth of humanity. He realized in that instant that humans were not merely observers in the galaxy. They were capable of rising to greatness, of earning respect, and of forging bonds that transcended species. The Queen stepped back, her gaze still focused on him, yet her expression softened with what Adrian interpreted as approval admiration, and perhaps a hint of curiosity. He had come far, from a human diplomat quietly observing the alien queen, to a leader who had faced betrayal, danger, and overwhelming odds, proving not only his own courage, but the heart of his people. Outside the observation chamber, the twin moons of Lyria 7 rose, casting silver light over the valley. The stars above twinkled like distant witnesses to the unfolding history, reflecting humanity's courage, ingenuity, and heart. Adrian looked at them and whispered quietly, "We have proven ourselves. This is only the beginning." The settlement below thrived, the human and Veyari teams working side by side, their unity a testament to what collaboration, courage, and mutual respect could achieve. Adrian knew that the galaxy was vast, filled with challenges far greater than any he had faced so far. Yet he also knew that humans were ready, because they possessed the qualities that could shine even in the darkest moments: resilience, creativity, and the unyielding strength of the human heart. As he returned to the platform beside the Queen, Adrian felt a quiet confidence. Years of admiration had led to this moment, but it was not the end. It was a beginning. Humanity had earned its place among the stars, not through mere diplomacy, but through courage, action, and the heart to rise above every challenge. Saralith's voice, calm yet powerful, broke the silence. "The stars are not silent anymore, Commander Cross. They are waiting for us to explore, to protect, and to grow together." Adrian's heart leapt. "And humanity is ready," he replied, his voice steady. For the first time, he felt the impossible seem real. A connection with the Queen he had admired for so long, a recognition of humanity's worth, and the promise of a future where courage, ingenuity, and heart could shape the destiny of worlds. The stars above reflected that promise, shining brighter than ever as humanity stood, not as mere observers, but as true partners in the galaxy, ready to face any challenge with unwavering courage and spirit. And somewhere deep within, Adrian knew that this was the beginning of a story far greater than himself. A story of humans reaching for the stars, guided by heart, honor, and the courage to dream beyond what was thought possible. The galaxy awaited, and humanity, for the first time, was ready to answer.